Ski and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. Great night for the Diamondbacks. Great night to be a Diamondbacks fan. Of course, we thank you guys for being here. Welcome in to another edition of OG's Flavoring Friday. Of course, make sure to check out all the wonderful things OG's has to offer, including their wonderful gummies and everything. Great night to celebrate.
It's Thursday, Derek.
It's Thursday.
Know that.
I know, but you know what? I don't care. It's a great night to celebrate with OGs. I know it's not Friday yet. You're absolutely right. I got my ad reads here mixed up, but that's only because I'm excited that the Diamondbacks won this game against the Padres 4-3. Huge win for the Diamondbacks, especially playing their brand of baseball, baby. This is all we wanted to see this season. This is the exact brand of baseball the Diamondbacks play, and this is how they win baseball games. Corbin Carroll might be back. Of course, we had the bullpen absolutely hold things down. Ladies and gentlemen, the bullpen. But this was just one of those games that was an incredible effort. You have to give a lot of credit to the defense and what the Diamondbacks were able to create on the base path today. They got two big home runs from Eugenio and Gabi in the second, back-to-back homers that gave them an early lead, along with a run that they created with Corbin Carroll's legs in the first inning. And this was just an absolutely wonderful win, a big win for the Diamondbacks, playing possibly their best baseball of the season right now. And it's at a great time. The Diamondbacks have a huge 4-game series here against the Padres. And this game is just their fifth. That's right. Their fifth game one victory of the season for the Diamondbacks. So a great time for them to figure things out and get things back on track. Of course, like I said, they got an early start from Corbin Carroll, who was just all over the place today. It was great to see Corbin Carroll doing Corbin Carroll things. Not only was he stealing bases and causing the defense to make mistakes that allowed him to then gain additional bases, but Corbin also was hitting the hell out of the ball today. He had 3 hard hit balls, according to our friends over here at Baseball Savant, and Corbin Carroll, guys, might in fact be back. I know there's at least one person that gets very angry when we declare that, and we might have declared that too soon at times this season, so I completely understand the ire. But of course, this win is again a big victory for the Diamondbacks. Slade Cecconi remains very, very good against opponents as long as he's only going out there 1 or 2 times against the lineup and not making his third time through the starting lineup for the opposing team. Things started to unravel for him in the 5th inning after allowing a leadoff home run, 2 singles before being replaced by Joe Mantiply. Mantiply, unfortunately, wasn't able to hold the runs, so the Diamondbacks did give up their 10th blown lead of the season, which, according to the Padres broadcast, leads all of MLB. And that kind of sucks. But that is very much what this season has felt like for this Diamondbacks team. It very much feels like they've blown a lot of leads, and we already know what happens when they get down by 2 runs or more. That's a different story. But the blowing of the leads has been something that we've witnessed quite a bit this season. Fortunately, the Diamondbacks were able to get a huge run there in the 7th inning that ended up winning the game for them, and that was a huge run that they pushed across. But of course, this goes back to Slade. Slade gave them an opportunity to win, even though, once again, he wasn't able to give them very much length. He still gave them 4 1/3 innings pitched. He gave up 7 hits, 3 runs scored, 2 of them earned. He walked 1, had 3 strikeouts tonight. But I really feel when it comes to pitching, the real story here is the Diamondbacks bullpen went out there against a very good Padres lineup and held them scoreless. I mean, Joe Mantiply obviously didn't do that in his time out there, but he only gave up that 1 hit that allowed those runs to score. Kevin Ginkel goes out and gives the Diamondbacks an inning and a third. He only allows 1 hit. And then you have Ryan Thompson giving up 1 walk and 1 hit and 1 inning of work. And Sewald closes the door there at the end with one quite possibly controversial strikeout if you're a San Diego Padres fan, which I can understand a little bit. I could definitely understand how I think it's Eric Bacchus was the home place umpire, and he had an absolutely hilarious exchange at the end of the game with Padres manager and tossed him out of the game. My favorite part about it was how nonchalantly after his call, the umpire basically waved him off, telling him that he the game's over. It's done. And then he just gave him a little toss. But that was a terrible strike call, you have to admit, considering the other calls he wasn't making that Paul Sewald threw right in that exact same spot. When you consider that, even though he did miss some of those were in the strike zone, right? Some of them were close, borderline calls that he didn't give Sewald. He ends up giving him that very important call, and the Diamondbacks secure the victory. I do know that, of course, our producer, Damon, who was on the 1s and 2s tonight, was watching the broadcast from the Padres side. Is that right, Damon?
This is true. I was, in fact, watching the Padres broadcast tonight.
What in fact happened there at the end of the game? How did they take that final strikeout call?
I'll tell you what, they weren't too happy. That's number one. The color commentator, he was particularly upset, and he mouthed horrible directly after the call was made. And then he just kept stewing on it, being like, that's just horrible. And then they showed a replay of it, and he yells, "You gotta be shaving me." And it was just
shaving me.
Yeah, it was like he replaced shitting, and he just he came up with something else for PG, and I don't know. It was pretty hilarious to witness, though. I loved every bit of it.
Did you see Mike Schilt get tossed? Did you see the umpire just give him a little, "I'm done with you. You could just," it even looked like the umpire was like, "What am I doing here? Why am I the game's over and I'm tossing you from the game?" But I guess, hey, sometimes you just want the manager to get out of your face. There's nothing we're going to do at this point, but
yeah, I mean, it does. That's something that just does absolutely nothing. But you started off the show with it, Derek, and I just wanted to touch on it again. This was like a vintage Diamondbacks win tonight. It felt like this is why they were a good baseball team last year. They would play baseball exactly like this: singles, taking extra bases, playing insane level defense. That seventh inning
tonight.
That seventh inning defense. Can we talk about that? When they got that single to lead it off, then Gabi gets that out on that sacrifice bunt.
Yeah,
unbelievable play. Kevin Newman then saves a run with a beautiful spinning play, throws it on the money, and then we get out of the inning. Wins us the game, essentially. I mean, the defense is back, and if the defense is back, I feel good about this team eventually being back.
Yeah, that was quite a bunt from Jackson Merrill, by the way, the one that Gabi had to kind of step around him and throw it.
It was a good bunt, but Gabi's a great catcher. That's the difference.
It's what Gabi does. Tatis stole a base on him, so I'm sure he was mad about that all game long. But this was just like you said. That's what this was. It was a vintage Diamondbacks victory. This was a signature win for this team, because not only was it a close game against a division opponent, but this was, a game that at times felt it was very much going to slip through their hands, especially the way the offense kind of just completely went quiet from the second inning until they were able to kind of put something together there in the seventh.
Yeah, I mean, they've had problems all year with going quiet, right? That's kind of been the name of the game for the Diamondbacks. They start off good early and then they go quiet. I put a note in the rundown, and I found it interesting, and it kind of goes to show that this is the truth. The Padres broadcast mentioned tonight that this was the 10th time this season that the Diamondbacks have blown a 3-run or more lead in a game, and that leads all of Major League Baseball. So they've gotten off to a lot of fast starts, but they need to find a way to get some runs in the middle of those innings. Put runs on the bullpen, really.
I think the biggest thing here is that Corbin, Corbin was the guy doing it tonight for this team. And it feels like
that's the difference, though, isn't it?
When he gets that start, when he gets things going early, I know he hasn't been a huge part of the offense this season, but it really feels like when Corbin gets things going, it gets the team going, right? And
they've lost like this all season long. Like they've lost these games all season long. And the difference tonight is that Corbin gets on late and then scores a run because he's so fast, and like Ketel's such a great hitter. That's the recipe.
Damon,
that's how you win these games.
Nobody's listening to us because all these people in the chat are talking about is the fact that I shaved once again and they won once again. And
sure,
there's Gabriel wants me to get a Gillette sponsorship, which I very much would be interested in. I am not against that. I'm sure he's probably furious right now that I'm giving away a free ad, but Gillette, hit me up. I use your products anyway. I can't explain how, once again, I just want to say I have no idea how the magic works other than I don't like not having facial hair, and I feel like you people are bullying me into this, and at least I'm getting some wins out of it, right? Like some Diamondbacks wins, but I still don't see how it's impacting me personally. I guess I'm taking one for the team. I'm doing it.
Just milk those W's, Derek. Just milk those W's.
No, I'm not. I'm not doing this. I'm not getting my face waxed. I refuse to get my face waxed. We're not going to do that. But what we will talk about,
know what, Maze Devil, we are going to do it, in fact, and we're going to do it for the diehards, and we're going to do it for content, and Derek's going to say yes to it.
I don't like that. No, I don't like that. But what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and give out the King Snake, because there's a few guys that could get it tonight, but we're going to give it to Corbin because we love to see nights like this from Corbin Carroll. And he put up a lot of good numbers there. 3 for 5 tonight, 2 runs scored, a double, stolen base, extended things with his legs there a little bit. And just honestly, tonight was one of the first nights that I saw Corbin Carroll on base, kind of causing problems for the opposing pitcher, for the opposing defense. Like, they were concerned about him, and he was a problem for them tonight. And when you have a guy like him, like Jake McCarthy, who is now he has 9 stolen bases on 10 attempts this season, you start distracting them. They have to worry about you. They have to pay attention to you. And that's when we can get back to creating chaos that we haven't seen this team really be able to create consistently.
You said that he's at 9 of 10 stolen bases this season.
That's McCarthy. Yeah, that's Jake.
Oh, Jake is. Corbin's a little bit lower than that, right?
Yeah, he's been caught a few times. I don't even know if he has that many attempts. We haven't really seen
he doesn't
that many attempts. Yeah.
No, that's we got to pick that number up just because I feel like that's how we're going to win baseball games is him getting on base and him stealing bases. And we saw that tonight. So, I mean, yeah, let's keep this rolling. Corbin's looked a lot better for 3-ish weeks now, I want to say. Yeah. Like, in my opinion.
We were saying things at times that some people were giving a shit about because they were like, he went 0 for 4. How is he taking better at bats? But when you saw how he was struggling there early in the season versus even some of his outs over the last 3 weeks, the at bats have been better. He's just making better contact. He's not, striking out nearly as much. He's not missing the same pitches. He literally had an Achilles heel. He joked about it on the postgame tonight, about being able to hit, a fastball inside. Like, this is a problem that he is very aware of just as much as the rest of us are, and are trying to do things to correct it. But baseball is a goddamn mystery sometimes, and you just can't explain it. We got some super chats. I want to thank you guys, of course, for being here so much tonight. I want to thank you guys for your super chats. Mr. Grimm sent a super chat. He said, is Paul Sewald on our Mount Rushmore of trade acquisitions? We talked about Paul Sewald's value being beyond what he brings on the field, but what he brings to the field might be in consideration of that. The one thing that the Diamondbacks have this season that feels weird and new, and we still don't really know how to react to it, is actually having a good bullpen. And obviously the season didn't start out that way, but lately you got to look at some of the pieces and the way that once Paul Sewald returned, a lot of those pieces are performing. Justin Martinez and Ryan Thompson have been lights out for this team. Kevin Ginkel gave this team a solid inning and a third tonight on a night that they really needed him to be his old self. I guess all it took was him nearly dying by being hit by a comebacker for him to unlock his full potential once again. But Kevin Ginkel seems to be pitching well again.
He did, but also didn't they hit it to the track that inning, if I'm not mistaken. So like there was, especially against Sewald too, like the bullpen was great, but
Sewald,
that last inning they hit it pretty hard.
Yeah, Sewald didn't look like outstanding as far as the results tonight, definitely, but the end result was 3 outs, right? He got the job done. It's I just talked about baseball being a mystery. The bigger mystery sometimes to me is how Paul Sewald is effective and as effective as he is. He has 2 pitches. He himself will tell you that you know exactly what he's throwing and you just don't know where it's going to go basically, but it's not really a question of what Paul Sewald is going to throw you. He only throws 2 pitches. He's just so good at what he does. And I think the biggest thing is Paul understands to just go out there and try to get contact and make outs and that's it, right? Like he doesn't do anything flashy, but somehow he's just effective. We also talked the other day about, just the other weird intangibles that he's bringing to this team, suggesting to Torey Lovullo that they don't take batting practice. Being the one that gives out the vest at the knighting. I want to call it a knighting ceremony is what I really want to call it. But it's their king snake ceremony, I guess you could say. But just being the guy behind that, being the guy to understand the importance of that to this team. It's just there's just so many things that Paul Sewald does. And I mean, it's easy to say they wouldn't have made the playoffs last year without him, but you could probably say that this team, is fairly lost. This bullpen isn't nearly as good without him as a part of it.
Yeah, and I love Paul Sewald, but I was just thinking of it off the top of my head. Mount Rushmore, that's top 4. Probably not, right? Like top 4
trade
ever.
Acquisitions.
I'd put Ketel higher. I'd put
Ketel's up there.
Gonzo higher. They traded for Randy, right?
They did trade for Randy.
Yeah, so that's got to be higher.
No, they didn't. He was traded to the Houston Astros, and then I think they got him as a free agent that offseason after the Astros had traded for him.
What about Kurt?
They traded for Kurt Schilling.
Yeah, so one of the 2 of those guys I was thinking. Yeah, so I think you got to go those 3, and then I'm assuming there's got to be a 4th guy in there. Martinez, JD. I mean, I might put him higher just for that how good he was that second half of the season, but Sewald's definitely up there. And we probably don't go on that run without everything going perfect for us, and that included him last year.
We also just historically have always had
he's a legend.
Bad bullpen, it's the fact that it does finally feel like there's stability there with Paul Sewald part of it. But this year, I mean, it feels like they're taking it a step further with the results that guys, once again, like I said, like J Martin, Tea Time are getting for this bullpen.
Gallen's another one. Yeah. I think
so. Like maybe he doesn't make doesn't make the Mount Rushmore probably, but big thank you to Dirt Bike Boy 714 for your super chat. Dirt Bike Boy asked, does Gino's glove make up for his inconsistency at the plate, or is it just me? We saw that on full display tonight. Hard not to look at some of the plays Gino made and say that guy isn't worth it when he's out there. I mean, it's frustrating. I think somebody in our chat said, what you want out of Gino is what you got out of him tonight. Yeah, you want him to go 1 for 4 with a dinger and have some great defense. And like that's it. I mean, you're not expecting Gino to hit 300 or anything like that. But if you're getting 250 out of Gino with power and that great defense that he offers at the hot corner, then yes, he's worth every cent.
Yeah, he just kind of provides that like steadying, kind of calming influence, I feel like, defensively, where like everything that's kind of hit his way, even if it's hard, I'm pretty confident he's going to make the play. And I mean, I felt like, Rojas had that run last year to start the season where he was like leading all third basemen in baseball and like outs above average. But then he like made like 5 errors, I feel like, in the next 10 games. And like, I just didn't really ever get that vibe. And I feel like Gino's he's a vet and he's always been a good fielder. And I mean, I don't know if it makes up for striking out 60% of your at bats, but it is, right. I mean, it's nice to have the defensive presence out there. No doubt.
Daniel in the chat says, well, wait, Vice Mayor needs to give us his defensive run saves and out above average before we could definitely say that. I use the eye test. Screw the numbers. But yeah, I'm sure they'll probably prove me wrong in some way. But speaking of the numbers, we know that we have some numbers to take a look at from this game. So let's take a look at the count presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, because this game, again, another close one. Padres squandered a lot of opportunities with runners in scoring position. They pulled the Diamondbacks tonight. Diamondbacks win this one by a count of 4-3. They out hit actually they were out hit. Those two are reversed. The Diamondbacks got 9 hits and the Padres got 10 hits. Runners in scoring position, Diamondbacks were 2 for 10. Padres were 1 for 14. Sheesh. Padres had 1 home run tonight. Diamondbacks had 2. Damon, we're 0 for 2. Or 2 for 4, 2 for 3, 2 for 5. And then we got the hard hit percentage here.
Derek, I got to be honest with you. I have no idea what you're talking about, sir.
You son of a bitch.
How did you just idea what you're talking about, sir. All right. Well, you're making stuff up.
You're right. You're absolutely right, because that's suddenly correct, like magic. All right. Diamondbacks, like I said, got out hit 10-9. Padres 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Again, just not Diamondbacks weren't much better, right? 2 for 10. A lot of their offense tonight came from those back-to-back home runs, but Diamondbacks still got those 2 home runs that were very, very valuable, and Padres were hitting the ball a little bit harder, 38.2% to the Diamondbacks 30.3%. But whew,
when I put this together, and I did the runners in scoring position, I'll tell you that I legitimately typed in 1 divided by 14, got the answer, cleared it because I couldn't believe my eyes.
You're like, no, that's not
did
right.
It again
0.71
and got the exact same answer and was like, what? That's so embarrassing.
Yeah. Gabriel in the chat says Padres fans blaming the umps as if they didn't go 1 for 14.
True.
Truth. Speak on it, brother. Well, of course, we thank you guys for being here in the chat. We always thank you guys for showing up. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the chat yet, or to the YouTube channel, to this thing we do called PHNX, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our shows go live. Drop us a like. We always appreciate that. And also, we appreciate you listeners as well. Of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure to subscribe on your favorite audio podcasting app. Leave us a review. We appreciate those 5-star reviews. They definitely mean the world to us. And of course, if you live here in Phoenix, Arizona, what might mean the world to you is having a quality pair of sunglasses, and you can get ready for summer with quality shades built to last from our friends at Shady Rays. I love my Shady Rays sunglasses so much. I do have like 5 other pair of sunglasses that, like, now that I lost my Shady Rays, I look at and I kind of get mad at them because none of them are Shady Rays. None of them are polarized lenses. And they're just not as good. They're just not as good sunglasses, because Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that offers a world-class product. And they just aren't nearly as expensive as their competitors. You have hundreds of styles to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your face and match, like if you're like me, wardrobe. They have, like the ones I had, they had red and blue in them, which, as you can see, I wear a lot of. So, of course, make sure to get yourself a pair of Shady Rays. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. No risk at all when you shop with Shady Rays. And, of course, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Well, Damon, I'm in my house right now. I'm not in the studio, so I don't have a chance to stop at Circle K. But all I've been thinking about is getting myself a Froster. I'm just, I might be addicted to Frosters. I've been talking on the show about Lindsey Smith and myself writing this into our contract or our writers or whatever you have to say. But now, if you want me to do any additional supplemental content, there needs to be a Froster at the end of the shoot, or else I just refuse to make any more content. That's how much I love Frosters.
It's going to be the rage of the office, the Frosters. Like, and no one is not talking about it. It's all anyone will ever talk about.
It's all we all talk about. Yeah, because we were promised potentially in Studio K a Froster / Polar Pop machine, and like, I can't stop thinking about that. I don't know how anybody in the office can even sleep thinking about that being a possibility, but that's just because we love stopping in at Circle K. It is America's
What's your
third
go-to
stop.
flav?
Oh, I love I do a little bit of the Coca-Cola and then a little bit of the cherry. Unless they have,
Wow.
I'm a big orange dreamsicle fan. I like that. Sometimes I see that flavor. Usually, though, those are kind of some staples that you can find at every Circle K. So I'll go with the cherry Coke, mashup. But
I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's not a bad.
That's good for mixing
it's
too.
Not a bad mix, right? Right? I'm just saying, sometimes you can get creative, and no one at Circle K is going to police how you get your drinks because you pay 79 cents for your cup, and then you can fill it with whatever you want to fill it with. So make sure to stop by Circle K. Of course, if you haven't joined the Inner Circle program yet, do so right now. I don't know what you're waiting for. It's free, and you get free stuff, and you get cheap stuff, and you get cheap gas, and you're just wasting money by not joining it. So join the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But again, save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups when you do. All right. Well, before Jesse gets here, he will be joining us from Petco Park in San Diego. Let's take a look at the power rankings for this week, because I'm sure this is probably going to infuriate him that I did this without him, but I don't care. Sometimes I just get crazy with it. What do we got here? We have here nice little mixture here. The Yankees, big potential situation going on with the Yankees, where Juan Soto was removed from tonight's game with forearm tightness. So that's a developing situation. There are a lot of Yankees fans making little effigies and praying to whatever religious entities they believe in, and maybe even hiding under their desks at home because things might be bad. But they haven't been bad so far. The Yankees have not lost in the last 7 days. They were 44-19 with a plus 115 run differential. Sheesh. Just 8-2 in their last 10 games. Phillies remain very good at baseball. They are 44-19 as well with a plus 104 run differential. They are 6-4 in their last 10, and they had a 5-1 week as well. A lot of movement there up at the top. Orioles still hanging around. They have a crazy run differential, plus 86. They're 39-22, but they didn't have as good of a week, and they are 6-4 in their last 10. Meanwhile, you had the Guardians. They just kind of leapfrogged the Dodgers a little bit there. Dodgers are still 39-25. They lead the NL West by a substantial amount, and they have a plus 85 run differential. But they did just lose a series to the Pirates, and that caused some Dodgers fans to lose their minds. So I figured I would take this opportunity, if not just for a brief moment while Jesse wasn't in control of the power rankings, to just knock them down a peg, just bring them down a peg. If I'm being honest, pettiness is the reason why they lost the spot in this week's power rankings, and I will admit to that. Then in the bottom half,
you're a good man, Derek.
I'm an honest man. I've tried to, whenever I talk about the numbers not lying, I try to talk about how honest I am, so that's what I'm being.
Well, you're just a man of principle. I mean, right. and that principle is we hate the Dodgers.
Correct. That's you. I build my platform as mayor based on hate and pettiness. So, I hope people enjoy that.
And that's why I vote for you every damn time.
This is why I'm going to replace Jesse with you one of these days. In the bottom half of the top 10 here, we have the Atlanta Braves, who are just still good. But I mean, right now with what the Phillies are doing, the Phillies are just kind of running away with that division a little bit. I mean, they nearly have a 10-game lead on the Braves now. Braves are 35-25 with a plus 39 run differential. They are 5-5 in their last 10. Mariners move up 2 spots because I just like to make Shane Diefenbach happy. That's the reason why. But then he texted me just a little while ago, right when we were starting the show, to tell me how that the Diamondbacks brand of chaos isn't real chaos, and that it's Mariners that have the real chaos. So that makes me want to just completely move them off this list altogether to make him sad. But for now, they are in the 7th spot. They are 36-28 right now. They are 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they have a run differential of just plus 10. So yeah, not great, but still leading their division pretty decently. Making up the bottom 3 spots there for the power rankings is the Royals, the Brewers, and the Rangers. Brewers still leading their division, of course. Rangers kind of hanging around there behind the Mariners in the AL West. And the Royals had a really big win over the Guardians the other day, but the Royals, again, they Not that they're not as good as we thought they were, because I don't think we ever thought that they were a very, very good team, but they've kind of come back down to earth just a little bit. They're 3-7 in their last 10, and they still have a crazy run differential at plus 72. Guardians up there had a plus 80 run differential. So those two teams battling it out for the AL Central. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mediocrity right now when you look across baseball and you look across the teams that are outside of the top, spot or the top 2 spots in their division. Most of the teams are at 500 or below 500, especially in the National League. There are a lot of teams that are now below 500. So, I think that's the thing right now for these D-backs is no matter how bad things were, they're still not out of it. In fact, it's hard to say any team in the National League right now is out of it outside of the Rockies and the Marlins. And even those two teams are just respectively 8 and 9 games back from the final wild card spot. So way too early to be calling any team out of it. But all the rest of the National League teams within 3.5 games for the final 2 wild card spots. So very, very close for that race. What are your thoughts, Damon?
I mean, it looks pretty similar to what the power rankings look almost every other week this season for the most part. Phillies are really good. The Yankees and Orioles are really good. I'd like to see the D-backs get on this ranking. That's not too much to ask for, is it? I mean, we're in a spot now where we're not sitting too far away from the back end of that ranking. Keep putting together some good weeks of baseball. I feel like we've been playing a little bit better recently, and I want to make one of those graphics and put a Diamondbacks logo on it, Derek.
I want you to put a picture of somebody from the Diamondbacks on the side and then have them on there. As of tonight, their run differential is at +0.
That sounds about right. They feel like pretty much the most average team ever.
They are 30-33. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's a clean slate, but this very much reminds me of giving up like a solo home run. Yeah, it sucks, but the bases are clear. Let's play some baseball, and I feel like the Diamondbacks have had a lot of hiccups, a lot of bad times so far this season, but it does feel like things are definitely rolling in the right direction for them. Unfortunately, they did have another starting pitcher that has been added to the 15-day IL, which we will discuss here in a minute with Jesse joining us from Petco Park. Of course, we want to give a shout out to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring the count and for just being here for us in Arizona. Desert Financial has been here for more than 84 years, and they have been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. They are financial experts who are committed to giving back to their members and the community, offering financial solutions tailored to helping us achieve our financial goals and dreams. Sometimes, like I don't know how to say this, but we put a lot of trust in certain institutions like banks. And sometimes, as you've heard maybe in the past, some banks are just there to be glorified salespeople. And that's not what you're going to get from Desert Financial Credit Union. They are going to help you get going to whatever goal you are trying to achieve with your finances. They have checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. Right now, when you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today. And we are celebrating tonight with Four Peaks beers. Of course, we celebrate with Four Peaks, and we also drown our sorrows in Four Peaks, but they are always there for us because they are a staple of the Valley, and you can find them all over the place, not only at their locations, along with those wonderful chicken tendies, but you can also find them in grocery stores all around the Valley. Right now, don't miss out on Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale. It is an incredible collaboration between Four Peaks and Bad Birdie. Super drinkable, perfect companion at the tea box or in your fridge.
It's the best.
It's the best. It's such a great beer. I really enjoy it. And I really enjoy the fact that I'm seeing it on the tap all across the Valley. Like I'm going to more places. I'm seeing it more often. Love that. Love that for us. Love that for everyone. Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. Check out at Four Peaks Brew at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Also, make sure to check out our diehard memberships. Of course, if you haven't joined the family yet, do so now. Go over to gophnx.com. You will get a free t-shirt from the phnxlocker.com as part of your welcome package. You also get your membership card. You get access to discounts on our events, like our upcoming Mercury takeover. That's going to be just incredible. Let's remember Mercury, the true champions of the Valley. Also, you can get all sorts of wonderful content from us, including Jesse's written content and everything we have to offer in our Discord. This week, I'm going to have a Discord-only interview with my pal Steve Zinsmeister from the Diamondbacks broadcast. So make sure to keep it locked here for that. If you are a diehard, if you're not a diehard and you're interested in hearing me and Steve talk about how we used to host a show together, tap in, grab yourself a membership, join us, and make sure to get that content. Speaking of the wonderful content Jesse has to offer, Jesse is joining us now. My vice mayor, your thunderstick, the one and only Jesse Friedman, joining us from Petco Park. Jesse, we were talking about it, but man, this was a signature victory for the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. This really felt like they won this game playing the brand of baseball we've come to know that they play.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this was sort of the create chaos Diamondbacks. It at least had glimpses of that here and there. Corbin Carroll certainly wreaking some havoc on the bases. That helped the Diamondbacks score a run in the first inning with him stealing second and then advancing to third on the error by the Padres catcher. You saw some pretty good defense at times from the Diamondbacks in this game. Also some not great defense. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened on that Lourdes, the Jake Cronenworth double late in this game. Exactly what transpired there was sort of an odd play, but
it was gross. It was gross, Jesse. It was like 73 miles per hour off the bat or something like that. It almost looked like maybe Kevin Newman might have had a better shot at that, but I was curious to get your perspective on that, because that's just kind of what it looked like in one of the shots. But then Kevin kind of backed off, knowing that Lourdes, the outfielder, obviously in a play that could land in between them, usually is the one that makes that. But definitely looked like Newman might have been a little bit closer to it.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. It didn't wind up playing a huge role in the outcome of this game, so we didn't wind up asking about that post game. But I'll probably circle back on it tomorrow, just because I'm kind of curious, just for me personally, exactly what's supposed to happen there and what didn't happen there. I know Eugenio Suarez was serving as the cutoff man in that situation, so it didn't seem like his fault that the third base wasn't covered. Maybe Newman is supposed to step over and cover that base since Suarez wasn't there. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but that play, I think there's a world in which that play would have been really significant and, kind of a turning point in this game. But the Diamondbacks were able to come back and scratch across another run against a very, very good relief pitcher in Jeremiah Estrada. We've talked about how good J-Mart has been this year, time and time again. Of course, Estrada, I think, entered with a 0.48 ERA, and that's in about 10 more innings than Martinez has thrown this season. Really, really impressive stuff. But yeah, I mean, he comes in with 2 outs, Corbin doubles, Cattell singles, and that winds up proving to be the difference in this game.
And obviously, we know that this was a close game. We saw their offense go kind of stagnant there, but they were able to just miraculously, like you said, kind of have that one run get pushed across there against one of the best relief pitchers in the game. And then their bullpen takes over and holds this very good Padres offense scoreless. And that, I think that's something here that, I'm not ready to call this the best bullpen in baseball. I'm sure statistically they're not even close, but it's starting to feel like this is at least one of the best bullpens in franchise history.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? It still feels like it's a little early in the season to be making those kind of calls. The D-backs bullpen was not very good at all for the first few weeks of the year, and as we discussed the other day, Justin Martinez's emergence, Paul Sewald coming back. I mean, those guys have really kind of changed the game and made it suddenly look like, one of the better bullpens in the game. So time will tell where it lands when the season is over. But it's been good recently, Derek, and it was very good again today. I know Mantiply wasn't able to strand those couple of base runners because of the bizarre play that we discussed earlier. But, he was still able to get, I think it was 4 outs, and then Ginkel came in and got 4 outs. Ryan Thompson was able to escape trouble in the 8th inning, a bit of a stressful situation there. And then Paul Sewald in the 9th, there was a walk. There was a pitch that came very close to going over the fence. But once again, all is well that ends well. The Diamondbacks have now won 5 out of 6 games.
I was on the edge of my seat for that 9th inning, Jesse, because Paul Sewald, even though he was effective and got the job done, he didn't make it unexciting. That's for sure. That was those were some very hard hit balls, and even that strikeout ended up being very controversial, at least on the Padres broadcast, as our producer Damon filled us in on.
Yeah, what did you guys probably already discussed this? What did you say the Padres broadcast said when that pitch was called a strike?
I have the quote from Damon right here. I believe it was him trying to censor himself, and he said, "Shaving is what he said." He used the word "shit." You got to be shaving me. You got to be shaving me. And then he said, "Horrible! You took the bat right out of the kid's hands." Yeah,
that. Technically, Derek, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
That pitch was not a strike. And frankly, the Diamondbacks caught some breaks in this game. That was a pitch that certainly went their way. There was another moment, I think runner at second, 2 out earlier in the game with Kyle Higashioka at the plate. Back when Slade Cecconi was still in the game, he got a call on a pitch that I think was pretty clearly off the outside edge. And there were also a couple of, as we mentioned earlier, a very close home run off the bat of Tatis in the 9th inning. That was only a few feet away. Jake Cronenworth, a couple of innings prior against Kevin Ginkel, came pretty close to hitting a home run as well. Jake McCarthy made a really nice play there. And then early in this game, Kyle Higashioka, I think this might have been his first at bat against Cecconi, his first bat or his second at bat, where he was within like a few feet of hitting a 2-run homer down the left field line. It just barely went foul. So the inches went the Diamondbacks' way today for sure. I think they did catch a couple of breaks, but this was a pretty well played game for them. As you said, the offense was stagnant in the middle. We've seen that quite a bit this year, but what they did at the beginning, right out of the gate, and getting that really big run late in this one, that was all they wound up needing.
Christian Walker had one that also missed a home run, maybe just by a few inches or a few feet at least. So yeah, it was definitely a night of very close margins there for the Diamondbacks and the Padres. But as we discussed earlier, Jesse, Corbin Carroll just had a huge night for this team, and it really does feel like when Corbin is out there doing what he did tonight, not only is it kind of leading the way for his teammates and creating runs like the early run that he was able to score in the first inning that probably wouldn't have scored had it not been Corbin Carroll out there, stealing bases and extending it. But you also have the fact here that it really did feel like he put a lot of pressure on the opposing defense. We saw mistakes being made, of course, like that ball being thrown away. And, again, Corbin just seems to change the game when he's able to be on base and just that active threat out there distracting, the Padres tonight.
This was a typical Corbin Carroll game, right? I mean, this felt like the Corbin Carroll that we saw time and time again last season. It was 2 singles. It was a double. The stolen base, as you mentioned, he scored a couple of runs. He was instrumental in 2 out of the 4 runs that the Diamondbacks scored in this game. Yeah, they don't win this one unless he goes out and does what he was able to do tonight. And it was a step in the right direction for sure. I think we're still at a point where we need to see him kind of string a few of these together. It doesn't necessarily have to have a 3-hit game every day for a week, but just pretty consistently, have a week or two where you really start to see the numbers kind of come up, and it's not just a 3-hit game here or there. It's more consistent than that. So there's still a ways to go for him, but yeah, I mean, a couple of the pitches that he hit on a line were fastballs up in the zone, which of course have been kind of his kryptonite this season, pitches that he's really struggled against. So that was a really, really good sign that he was able to go up and not only get to those pitches, but hit them extremely hard in the process.
And I'm sure you didn't get a chance to see it, but in his post-game interview on the broadcast, he joked about finally being able to hit those pitches. So
really,
it's yeah, I mean, it's obviously something that, you know, again, sometimes it feels like when we're fans and we're watching, you know, someone play, like we know a secret they don't know, and it's like it's the worst kept secret in baseball that Corbin Carroll couldn't hit a high, you know, fastball this year. Everybody knew it, including Corbin, including the opposing pitchers, and that's why he struggled so much this year. The game plan was easy against him, and it was effective, and now we're able to see him, you know, start to finally be productive with those kind of pitches. And honestly, keep throwing it to him. If you think if he's gonna struggle with it, keep throwing it to him, because hopefully he'll have more nights like this. We do have Torey Lovullo after the game talking about Corbin and his performance.
For Corbin, where fastballs up, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I think they're up, manageable up, and in the spot where you can handle him, and he's got his barrel moving in the right direction. I think the most impressive swing was the split that nobody's hitting off of Estrada. He banged off the right field wall. You know, he stayed through that, and that was an impressive swing as well. So Corbin is working hard, and that's what we want to see, and we want to have him continue doing the right things and having very positive results, and just keep migrating north. That's his mindset, and I think, you know, we backed him because he's been working extremely hard behind the scenes, and it's easy for us to really root for him at this time.
What do you guys see from him? People talk about, Cattell was just talking about how hard he works.
Yeah.
What do you see him doing every day?
You know, I don't see the exact cage routine. I just watch him take swings, aggressive swings in the cage. I see him take a really aggressive BP. He goes out and does defensive work. He engages with his teammates. He hustles down the line. I see a player that if I didn't know he was struggling because of the numbers, I would say he's having a really good year. He's just really grinding the way he always does. That's what it's preparation and effort equals output with him, and he hasn't stopped. His preparation and effort has not changed, and that's what inspires us.
I feel like, you know, a lot of people gave up on Corbin, including potentially members of this show. Not naming names, but maybe those people aren't on screen right now. That's a whole other story. But a continued belief there in Corbin Carroll from his manager.
No, we're
not just gonna move on. I was just gonna press on.
That's ridiculous. No, I always said it from the jump, and you can go back and you could check the fucking tape.
Check the tape.
Rewind the tape. I always said, I am holding Corbin Carroll to the highest standard of anyone in this organization because he is paid like it, and I expect him to be the best player on this team. So when he's playing like the worst player on this team, I'm going to call him out for it. And he was playing awful baseball. No one wants Corbin to be better than me. I'm not. Let's not like, you know, manipulate things and make Damon the bad guy.
I'm just speaking the truth is all I'm speaking. But you're right though, and I mean the other thing about it is that not only do you hold yourself to that, or not only do you hold him to that standard, but Corbin very much holds himself to that standard. I think that part of that could have been, you know, the way that things just kind of keep adding on. You know, the lack of success doesn't make it easy to hit your way out of it. And I'm sure the pressure Corbin put on himself was worse than any pressure anybody else put on him.
Yeah. I mean, I think that goes without saying. I mean, Corbin is he's so driven, and I mean, it's been obvious from the jump. Like, no one cares more than he does. No one takes this more seriously than he does. So, this was never for a lack of trying, or you know, as Torey was describing there, you're seeing Corbin go out and be the same guy on a day-to-day basis in terms of the preparation. That doesn't come as a surprise to anyone.
Well, there was more from Corbin from the clubhouse.
Yeah, this is a really interesting clip. It's a little bit longer, but Corbin kind of got into the mental side of this season, which is something we haven't heard him speak on a whole lot yet. He's talked more about kind of the mechanics and swing changes and whatnot. But yeah, he talked more about kind of what he's been through mentally this season and some really interesting stuff here.
Yeah, it's been pretty terrible, but you got to show up and put on face, and these other guys in this clubhouse, the staff, they deserve it. But I'd be lying if I said that this year hasn't been pretty terrible.
Do you feel like it's bled into the performance at all, or do you feel like you've done a good job of separating that?
I kind of feel like those are a little bit tied together. I think I always try and stay super process oriented, but I've never really like underperformed like this, and so it's been really challenging to just trust it and just keep working every day. It's just there are times where it feels like you can't find the right answer, but I feel like that's just when I've got to rely on these guys around me, rely on the coaches, rely on my teammates. They've done an unbelievable job of kind of just being even keel. That's helped me be even keel about it. Big credit to this organization.
Are there conversations or anything that stand out when you're
I mean, it's a little less about the conversations, right? Like, I feel like maybe that's a little bit more like people putting alarms on, right? But like when I've got the same interactions with these guys when things are going great, and there's times like the start of the season where just you feel like people care about you as the person and not just the numbers that you're putting out there. I feel like we're a really tight clubhouse in that way, and that's something that's really special about our clubhouse. And that's what really makes me want to just turn the year around, and these guys deserve it.
That's what good teammates do when you're struggling, right? Like, they don't come over and try to offer you advice, or they don't even acknowledge the slump that you're in. They try to treat you the same way that they treat you all the time, and like just try to respect you in that way, but still, show you love and know that you're going through it. That when a player is struggling, that they're not sleeping at night sometimes, and they're not feeling very good about themselves. So it's like, you want to show them love, but then you also don't want to, I guess, kind of patronize them and the struggle that they're going through.
Right. Yeah. It's totally a balance. And yeah, I mean, it's always felt like there was a lot of camaraderie in this clubhouse, and really not surprised at all by anything that Corbin says there in that regard. But yeah, I mean, as you heard him describe there, like, he's never done this before. Like, he's raked everywhere, Derek. Like, he raked in high school.
I know.
He didn't go to college. He was just drafted right out of high school, although I guess he's taking some college classes, so should be careful with exactly how I say that. But he and then in the minors, right? I mean, he basically dominated at every level and overcame a lot of adversity with the shoulder injury, of course, and the surgery, and having to miss significant time for that. So it's just been success after success. Every roadblock that he's encountered, I mean, it just seems like it's been no problem. And he's being honest there, right? Like, this season has been very different for him, and the mental side, I think it's pretty clear, has taken a toll on him. And he also described there how you can't totally separate those things. Like, the mental side of the game is also always going to be tied in some way to how you're functioning on the field on a day-to-day basis. And I mean, based on what we saw today and what we've seen here over the last few days, it seems like things are pushing in a positive direction.
Well, when you think about it, other sports aren't like that, right? You go out, you practice, you take reps, you do it over and over and over and over again until it is literally muscle memory. You're playing football and you're, a lineman. The blocking is just second nature to you after a point because of how often you practice it. Same thing with like basketball, right? You go into the gym, you shoot 200 shots, your shot's almost automatic. You might even be able to make shots blindfolded at times because of how much you just start getting into that groove and having things kind of be like repetitive and automatic. Baseball isn't like that because every time you're at the plate and you're hitting a baseball, you have to be thinking a million different things at times. Like you have to be thinking you're looking for a certain pitch or knowing what his tendencies are, knowing what the count is, knowing where your guys on base are, taking, signs from your third base coach. There's just so much shit going on mentally when you're playing a baseball game that it's really hard to clear everything out and have that Paul Goldschmidt approach of I just tried to hit the ball hard. Like, yeah, I mean, that's great, but getting the rest of that stuff out of your head as a ball player has to be very difficult. And again, when there's too much or it's overwhelming, I mean, especially when you're also doubting yourself and, having some other mental feelings about the way that you're performing, that's just a lot to weigh you down. Right. But, but what you said there is true. Like, I know a lot of people in life that have experienced early success. And then once adversity comes their way, they don't know how to react because up to this point, they've done nothing but win. So when they lose, they don't know how to rebound or they don't know how to get back up and fight back, and I don't think Corbin's that kind of person because we've heard extensively about the amount of work that he's putting in, to try to get right. But it does feel like, for Corbin, this is probably the most frustrating time of his life. And I know that he talked about what he could possibly learn from all of this, right?
Yeah. I followed up and asked, is this the kind of thing a few years from now where you feel like you could look back and be like, oh, for as much as that sucked in the moment, like I actually am better for it now. So here's what Corbin had to say about that.
Yeah, I hope so. As silly as it sounds, like I've obviously had bad stretches before, but
sure,
I think it just can make me a little bit more empathetic to how hard this game is and can help me be a better teammate. And try and pick up the guys around me when things aren't going well for them.
My God, is he not the perfect baseball player? Is he not literally the perfect human? Damon said I was created in a lab to be a baseball podcaster. That man was definitely created in a lab to be a baseball player because that's just an incredible outlook and way to think about it. Like to not even make it about you, but make it about how you can now be a better teammate because of having gone through struggles yourself.
Absolutely. And that was one of the first things we said here when Corbin's season was just going so terribly is it was a testament to how hard this game is, that you can be on the top, you can be one of the best one day, and then maybe you opposing teams kind of figure you out, or you make some adjustments that wind up actually hurting you more than they help you. In this case, it feels like it's kind of a combination of both with Corbin, and the impact that those things can have. I mean, they can take a player that is objectively super talented. Like, I don't think there's any question about that with Corbin Carroll. What he's able to do, the bat speed that he has at his size, how explosive of an athlete he is. Like, right. He is, just as an athlete, like just so clearly special and so talented. His feel to hit all of these things. But this game, man, like this game is so challenging that, the moment you think you're at the top and you've kind of got it all figured out, suddenly, you look up at the OPS rankings around the game and your name is like second or third from the bottom. So Corbin has clearly gained some perspective from that. And you can see how in the long run that even though it, there's nothing that feels good about it right now, but in the long run, maybe it serves him well.
The game of baseball is an enigma wrapped inside of a conundrum. hidden inside of a mystery, Jesse, and none of us will ever be able to figure it out, no matter how much you think you can with your precious little numbers. Now, speaking of numbers,
you guys might not be able to figure it out, Derek, but with the help of Baseball Savant, I can figure anything out. So,
well, speaking of numbers, the Diamondbacks hit back-to-back home runs for the 5th time this season. What did Torey have to say about his guys going out there, especially being two guys that have really struggled, especially with their power this year, Gino and Gabi?
Yeah, we have a clip of exactly that. Here's what Torey had to say about Gabi and Gino going back to back early in this game.
Yeah, it was nice to see for Gino, and anytime somebody like that who you just are, everybody's rooting so hard for in Gino's case, because he's just been grinding, and Gabi's had a little more success as of late, but with Gino, it was just nice to see him clip that ball. He caught it right, and the smiles in the dugout told the entire story. And then Gabi looked like it was something soft. I think it might have been a slider at the top of the zone, and that's kind of where his approach lands on that pitch at that time. So it's nice to see him have a lot of success, because I know they're really grinding.
I know the Diamondbacks won the other day without a home run, but Barry Bloom might be right, Jesse. The Diamondbacks hit home runs and they win ball games.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the sequence of events kind of like leads us to believe that Ketel's RBI single in the 7th is the reason that the Diamondbacks won this game. But
sure,
you could make an argument like, all right, well, if Gino and Gabi don't go back to back, and I believe that was the 2nd inning, Diamondbacks lose this game, right? I mean, that's theoretically how it would have played out. So yeah, it helped them get out to an early lead there, 3-0 at the time. And neither of those guys have really lived up to expectations this season, right? I mean, Gino, we've talked a lot about. Of course, he's been the subject of quite a bit of scrutiny lately among this fan base. But even Gabi, like, I don't think he hasn't reached the low that Corbin has, that Gino has this season. So he hasn't drawn quite as much attention for some of the hitting struggles that he's had. But he was a really, really good player for this team down the stretch. I mean, he hit 3rd for them throughout the majority of those World Series games, and he hasn't really been that hitter this season. So to see him go out there and put a swing like that on a breaking ball that was in the zone, that was a really good sign for them.
We also have Torey commenting on Ryan Thompson. Tea time, Ryan Thompson, our friend, our dog. And I mean, that was a pretty big matchup for him there against Manny Machado. Interesting that they pinch hit Machado in that situation, considering the guy that they pinch hit for almost hit a home run and then did hit a home run.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, I felt that Mike Shildt made several kind of puzzling decisions in this game, with 1st and 2nd and nobody out in, I believe it was the 5th inning. This was right after Slade Cecconi was removed from the game. He bunts. I guess Cecconi was still in at that time.
Yeah.
Jurickson Profar, who's had an outrageously good season, lays down a bunt to advance the runners to 2nd and 3rd. And Shildt had to know that with the left-handed hitting Cronenworth on deck, D-backs had Joe Mantiply warming up. They were gonna get that left-on-left matchup. I didn't understand really at all why you would want to bunt with your number 3 hitter to set up a left-on-left matchup. Granted, it worked because of that bizarre play that we talked about earlier. So I guess I can't I can't criticize too much given the results. But there was another bunt later in this game that also didn't make a ton of sense to me based on the matchup that came after it. So yeah, a bit of a weird day for Mike Shildt. But yes, we do have Torey talking about Ryan Thompson against Manny Machado in the 8th inning. Really felt like kind of maybe the most pivotal moment of this game.
I mean, that to me was October. What can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, Manny and I were talking about it. We were projecting it. It was definitely a possibility. Campusano usually hits directly for that catcher, but with him on the bench, it was something that was well in play. We saw some activity in the dugout, and sure enough, it was him. But it's a tough matchup. He doesn't pinch hit very often. I think he's 2 for 7 in his career. So maybe he wasn't familiar, and we got a big out in that situation.
What did?
Another puzzling move to me, Jesse, was Mike Schilt getting tossed from the game after the game was over. That is still,
did that happen? Did that happen?
Really happened? Yeah,
really?
Because he came over and argued with the home plate umpire about that final call, the Paul Sewald strikeout pitch. And I mean, the umpire basically kind of gave him like one of these shrugs, like, what are we going to do? You can't review it. Game's over. People are walking off. And then he just gave Schilt a little like, you're out of here. You're gone. You know, just like one of those. So it's a little one. It still cracks me up just to think about it. But yeah, a lot of puzzling moves. And honestly, again, I'm ready to crown them. You're not ready to crown them so much. But this bullpen, Jesse, I mean, I know they weren't perfect. I know Mantiply didn't get out there and, you know, hold the game there. They did give up that weird, you know, hit to Cronenworth. But man, you gotta you remove that. You remove the results of that from the game, and this bullpen was damn near perfect.
Yeah, and Justin Martinez didn't even pitch in this game, right? And yes. He has, I think, minimum 20 innings. I believe Martinez has the second lowest ERA in all of baseball. I just looked that up like an hour ago, so felt the need to go out of my way to mention that.
Crazy.
But yeah,
well, I mean, what? 3 of the lowest ERAs in baseball were in this game, right? With Ryan Thompson, the Padres. The Padres pitcher. I'm forgetting.
Jeremiah Estrada. Yeah,
Jeremiah Estrada, and then, you know, obviously Justin Martinez didn't pitch tonight, but yeah, like there's a lot of good pitchers right now at Petco Park, and again, it's just great that the Diamondbacks came out on top with this one. But again, we did get some news earlier about one of their pitchers not doing so well. Blake Walston has been added to the 15-day IL, and Jesse, I just can't. I just can't. I can't with this team and the injuries anymore. I just can't. I might have an elbow contusion. I might be on the 15-day IL myself. I still don't even know. This is getting insane.
Yeah, it is kind of insane. I tweeted it out earlier. The Diamondbacks now have a full 5-man starting rotation on the injured list, on the major league injured list. These are guys who are on the 40-man roster, right? It's Gallen, Kelly, Erod, Dre Jameson, and now Blake Walston. You could probably do some damage with that starting 5, Derek. That's a pretty decent group. But yeah, that's the reality of the situation. We didn't get a ton of specifics today on exactly what Walston's timeline will look like. Try to get a little more information tomorrow, just to sort of confirm that it's just elbow inflammation and that there weren't any other, any kind of structural anything going on. We'll kind of tie up those loose ends tomorrow in our pregame with Torey. But yeah, it's not great for the D-backs. I mean, Walston wasn't exactly dominating out there, but he was keeping the Diamondbacks in games, and there's something to be said for that with the state of their rotation right now.
So Humberto Castellanos, Jesse, returns to the Arizona Diamondbacks major league roster.
Yeah, for the first
down
time.
And ready to go.
Yeah, he looks like a totally different dude. If you haven't seen him since late I think it was August of 2022 when he last pitched for the Diamondbacks. Yeah, he looks like a totally different guy now. And yeah, he had Tommy John surgery toward the end of 2022, missed the entire 2023 season, has come back and, been pretty decent for the D-backs down in Reno. We don't know exactly what Sunday is going to look like, Derek. It kind of depends on, I guess, how these next few days go. Lovullo said the Diamondbacks could either start someone who's already in their bullpen, or they could look to make another roster move to bring somebody up here to make that start on Sunday. Tommy Henry being probably the most obvious candidate there. He would line up. That would be 4 days rest for him. Or technically, Cristian Mena could also start that day. He'd be on 6 days rest, which is a pretty normal thing in AAA. So
fire me up, Jesse. Fire me up. Let's go. I am excited.
I don't think you're going to get Cristian Mena. I think Tommy Henry is probably the more likely outcome there, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. We don't have any firm answers on that just yet.
Well, we do also have some news on Jerry P. Geraldo Perdomo had a big hit tonight for the Reno Aces. Actually gave them the go-ahead hit in the 7th inning Then the Rainiers answered back, and then the Aces answered again in the 8th inning. But Perdomo 1 for 4 with an RBI, and again, just doing what he does, getting timely hits to give his team the lead, and he's doing it for the Reno Aces.
I think he had an RBI knock yesterday as well. So he's living up to the Risp King moniker that we developed for him.
Yes, Jesse. Yes, the Risp King agenda. The thing I didn't like hearing was that they were saying that he was a little sore after yesterday's game. I mean, I know it was just like talk because, yes, playing in a real baseball game against a real opponent is much different than the Arizona Complex League or any other simulated game that you can be in. But can we please pick our words carefully about how we're describing how he feels? Because I don't want to know that Jerry P feels sore. That makes my heart skip a beat. I'm worried. I'm concerned. Every single injury I feel like is going to be re-aggravated, Jesse, and I just can't have that happen.
Yeah, it didn't sound like anything alarming to me. Just sort of the typical soreness that you'd expect when you're getting back into playing games. But
the soreness
yeah,
Damon feels working out is what you're talking about.
Hopefully they're not that sore, because that's
he's been limping around the office. It's embarrassing, actually.
Yeah, I think Damon's needed, he doesn't make a full recovery for at least a week when he works out, right? So hopefully the cool down period is a little bit better for the Diamondbacks. But I wouldn't be too concerned about Perdomo. It sounds like pretty normal stuff.
All right. Well, you got anything else there from San Diego before we get your number for the week, or for the day, I should say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess we just have to do. We just gotta do numbers don't lie here, Derek. You have to do the bit, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't lie, Jesse, and you don't lie. We know that. Damon definitely lies about how sore he is from working out. We know that for a fact. But the one person around here that we know for a fact doesn't lie is the numbers, and they're not people; they're numbers. So that really doesn't make a lot of sense. But Jesse, what is your number for today's game?
Yeah, the number is 388. This goes back to Gabriel Moreno, who we talked about earlier. Gabi's home run to left field was 388 feet. And that was the longest hit to the pull side for Moreno this season by a pretty significant margin. Previous high, I believe, was 343 feet. And all that to say that there was just something about that swing that felt a little bit different. We haven't seen Moreno pull the ball a ton. And granted, one of his biggest assets as a hitter is that he's not so dependent on pulling the ball. He goes to the opposite field very consistently, has a lot of success doing that. But in terms of his power, that power is mainly going to come to the pull side. And we saw it a little bit toward the end of last year when he started really hitting some home runs. A lot of those went to the pull side. And so for Moreno, I think that swing that we saw today, maybe a sign that he's starting to kind of come into his power a little bit. It just struck me as something that we hadn't really seen this year, just a very commanding swing to the pull side. Really, really good development for him for sure.
Well, hopefully we'll see more of his power. Hopefully he's back. Hopefully Corbin's back, and these guys can get on a roll. This is a very important series, and as I discussed earlier, they don't win game ones often these days, so it's great to see them get out, especially against the Giants in their last series, and get out ahead in this series against the Padres instead of just kind of playing from behind in an important 4-game series. So we know that they avoid the sweep after winning this game, and hopefully they can take this 4-game series from the Padres. Hopefully they sweep the Padres. Maybe let's sweep a team. Let's do it to them. We've only done that once, but anyway. Jesse, we will see you tomorrow night. Jesse will remain in San Diego. I will remain worried about him the entire time. I have no idea how I'm going to get any sleep, but make sure you drink some water, Jesse, so that way I can at least know you're getting hydrated. Of course, you can follow us both on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, the person to follow here is the people's producer. That's Damon. He is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's Dogs.
Bark, bark.
Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We hope you guys have a wonderful night. We will see you back tomorrow for another post-game show right here on PHNX. So make sure to come on back after tomorrow's game against the Padres. And until then, Hope you guys enjoy this win. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but man, it's so much more fun when you toss the opposing manager out of the game after the game's actually over. That was fun.
We all silly like the mayor.